the Woman Today talk show. I'm Demi Zeal.
And I'm Bernadette.
Joining us today is Siatra, a very impressive young lady who I'm sure inspires everyone that she meets.
Absolutely. Siatra Msandu, welcome to Women Today.
Thank you.
Please tell us, who is Siatra?
Okay, Siatra, I'm 23 for a start, and I think most people wonder what my name means. You'd find that most of the things that I do today relates or goes back to the name. So I was named by my dad. Siatra is a combination of my parents' names, S-I from Simon and then Atra from Cleopatra. So when you ask them what it means, they say it means mom and dad.
Aww.
And we're a family that believes that your purpose lies in your name. So Googling more about my name, Sia means the moving help. So basically everything that I do today is all about helping, which brings a very nice feeling after that. So I'm a pastor's child, which comes as a shock to so many people. And I'm the first in a family of 3. So basically fast forwarding everything to where I am today, I started off in 2013 where I was in junior council of the city of Chitumbisa. Being the junior public relations officer, that's where my journey started. And I also became a presenter and face of a project from Citizen Child, where we launched the Citizen Child Youth Media Project, which was a project that was empowering adolescent girls and young people to use media skills in advocacy. So from there, I also then was introduced to UNICEF. UNICEF brought in the angle of filming to me, which I was trained. There was a global competition which was called 1 Minute Movie Junior. The theme was where I am in time and place. So I made my 1 minute movie. And from there, I've been doing bits and pieces of work with them. I've worked also with an organization that's called Sexual and Reproductive Health Africa Trust. They call it SAT. I've also worked with the Regional Network of Children and Young People Trust, where I'm currently the youngest board member of the, And then I've also worked with quite a number of organizations.
Listening.
And then I was also a presenter along the line with Green Studio. And then I became, my first leadership position after the junior council was with Terre des Hommes Germany. They have the International Youth Network, and the Zimbabwe chapter, I was the chairperson for that. And from there, I got my spotlight again with UNICEF, where I was trained again in digital storytelling, which is basically filming on a smartphone. And then so all you had to do was find a story that you wanted to tell. And the first story that I told was a unique ability. It was about a girl who had no legs, but she was into sports. So my angle was trying to bring out issues of disability in a different lens, in a positive lens. Not the, oh sad, let's do something about it, but show her ability. Hence the name Unique Ability. And then after that, I also became interested in issues around mental health, where I joined Friendship Bench, which was a course on problem-solving therapy. So problem-solving therapy is then what opened up my mind into actually having interest in mental health issues, which then I pitched to UNICEF in digital storytelling. And then COVID came, which now made a lot of sense why I needed to talk about mental health, because it was a topic that in Zimbabwe you don't talk about. It's not something you can relate to. So when COVID came, then I did my first clip, which I was in it. I was just trying to bring the lens of mental health. Let's talk about it. The anxiety, everything that's going on. And in 2018, going back again, I won the Innovation Award for Sexual and Reproductive Health. And I was the only girl amongst those award winners, which was really amazing, because sexual and reproductive health is also a topic that we're beginning to talk about here in Zimbabwe. So I think in a nutshell, that's just about it. That's my journey in brief.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so impressive to have achieved so many things, and especially at such a young age like you. It's really important, I think, for other women to see what they can achieve if they really put their minds to it. So that's really incredible to hear. What do you personally think is your proudest moment of your career so far?
Wow. you know, when the moment you're asked and you actually don't know which one to pick. But I think just being me at this point in time, having to shine. Like recently I was in Brussels representing UNICEF, so I'm currently also as well the EU Report Ambassador for UNICEF. And the best moment for me was that the Commissioner for European Union acknowledged my presence, where I got to host one of the biggest seminars that they were hosting in Europe. And me having to shine, one, as a girl from Africa, and just telling my story to the commissioner, and she listens and everybody else was listening. I didn't do much, but the fact that I got to at least speak out and my country was represented, I think that's amazing for me, because it shows that if you're, no matter in which continent you are, you can do whatever you want, you can go wherever you want, where you want to be. Yeah. So which is, I think that's my spotlight moment for now.
Yeah, okay. That's really incredible.
That's fantastic. Going back to, you spoke, you've done a lot of stuff, Siatra, which is really amazing. You know, you really shining for us women out there. But what can you say is the core of what you're doing now? I know you spoke of mental health, you also spoke of reproductive health, and amongst the other stuff that you're doing. Is there a core thing that you're focusing on now?
I can't say. Okay, so currently in the organization that I'm working with, we work around issues of child marriages, sexual and reproductive health, gender-based violence. So those are mostly the issues that we talk about, but then you'd find that mental health is a cross-cutting issue, and also participation of women and girls. So those basically are my main focus. So you'd find in every organization that I'm featured, those, it's either one or all. Okay. So basically that's just about it. In brief, those are typically the issues that I'm focusing on.
So as we can all see, there's clearly a lot of issues that young women, especially in this country, are facing. How do you think we need to all come together as a society to tackle some of these issues and make it better for some of the young children?
Okay, I think firstly focusing on girls and women. In Roots, we've got a sister movement that we push for. So whenever we meet girls and women, we always say sister, sister, and they respond sister. So that statement, we're just trying to promote a sisterhood behavior. You'd find women are not as united most of the times. Yeah. If you find a woman who's dressed better than you, it's an offense. Instead of you acknowledging that she actually looks good, or if she's got something wrong with her, you need to tell her, girl, look, fix this. Yeah. But we don't have that culture as women. And I think our first step is to actually embrace each other the way you embrace your sister, your biological sister. How you relate to her is the same way that you should relate to the other woman, whether she's your friend or not. But we're supposed to be able to then pinpoint the negatives and the positives, of course. So I think that's the main step for me. Before we move anything, or before we start to tackle anything, we need to unite as women first and acknowledge each other.
That's brilliant. You're very right about that. And coming off the back of talking about challenges, and I know just now you said before we do anything first, but what would you say are some of the challenges, apart from what you mentioned earlier, that women and girls are facing? And do you think that enough is being done to combat some of these challenges for women and girls?
Okay. So some of the issues that I've encountered firsthand, well, I'll start with me. I've had issues of dropping out of school because of financial reasons. Okay. But that didn't stop me from doing what I wanted to do. I would always maneuver my way and find a spot for me and do my best in that. But then it's not so for so many girls. I came from the A class to the least people you'd want to associate yourself with. That means me dropping out of school just so my siblings can continue, and which was not easy. And meeting other girls with the same story, you would find that they're now engaging in transactional sexual relationships, where you give me something and I give you my body in return. So, which is not something that I can relate to, because that didn't happen to me. But these are two different women already. And you'd find that it's the same challenge, but how then we tackle it or how we go about it is how different it is. So transactional sexual relationships, You'd find child marriages also, they're coming from the issue of poverty. They don't have, so rather in return, you need to go. The other thing is on access to sexual and reproductive health. We know that our generation is very sexually active. We're seeing a lot of this online and all that. And most of these issues, in terms of sexual and reproductive health in Zimbabwe, we don't have access to sexual and reproductive health services and knowledge. So basically, I think these are most of the challenges that we have as girls and young women in Zimbabwe.
Clearly, a lot of women are facing so many difficulties and struggles in this country, but we've spoken a lot about women today. My question is, what do you think what role do you think men play, and do you think they've embraced gender equality enough?
Embracing gender equality, I'm not sure. It's a journey, because it also goes with their understanding of what equality is. We've got different women interpreting what equality is to men. So it takes a man to actually engage and know and understand to embrace it. So I think we're still far from having the men embracing what equality is. But now we've got two different discussions. We've got the issue of equality and equity. So equality, of course, being the fact that we all have equal opportunities, we all have the same things. But when it comes to equity, it's now a matter of, for example, I'm short, my brother is tall. So for me to see on the other side of the wall, I need something to elevate me to his level. So basically, if I'm given the same seat with him, that's equality. But I'm still not able to see beyond the wall because he's taller than me. The fact still remains. But with equity then, it then says you need to fast track or at least give me more steps to be on the same height with him, for me to be able to see in the same lens of everything that he's saying. So I think now it's basically, let's not only talk about equality, let's now talk about equity for both the men and the women, because you'd find the conversation goes 10 years from now. I've heard someone say 10 years from now, you'd go back and get the boy child or the men because they would have been left behind. So it's now equity for both the men and the women.
That's a brilliant explanation. I think that's also helped a lot of people out there to get the understanding between equality and equity. We are going to take a short break now, but stay tuned. We'll be back.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here still talking with Siatra as she continues to educate us on some very important topics.
Indeed. Siatra, I'll take you back a little bit, where we spoke about sexual reproductive health services in our country. Do we have enough of it? Are people aware of it? What's your take on this?
Okay, I like the first thing that you said. Are people aware? So in some cases, it's available. The sexual and reproductive health services are available, but people don't know where. That's number one. Number two, sometimes the people know, but it's not accessible, especially for the 18 or the adolescents and young people, I should say. It's not accessible. By not accessible, I mean you know where to find this, you know what you want. Perhaps you want a morning after, but you can't go to that local clinic and ask the local nurse for that, because probably in scenarios, the nurse knows you, knows your parents. So they're going to judge you and actually tell you that they're going to tell your parents that you came to get a morning after.
Yes.
What do you need a morning after for?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. They're playing the mother instead of the actual service provider that should be. So that's another case. And sometimes it's available, it's accessible, but it's not affordable.
Okay.
You'd find it's probably a private clinic or a private hospital. The services that you need are available, but you just don't afford. And even when sexual and reproductive health is brought to even access to menstrual health services, or dignity packs, I should say.
Right.
We got to an extent that in Zimbabwe, sanitary wear was expensive for an ordinary person to to afford. So those are the kind of things where it's available, it's accessible, but it's not affordable for that young person to access. So I think, of course it's there, but those are the 3 A's for me: access, availability, and affordability for the young person.
Wow, thank you for that. And it's really great to hear all these things from a professional perspective and someone who really knows a lot about the topic. Another topic that we've touched on today is mental health. And I wanted to ask you, why do you think mental health is not taken so seriously in this country? And how do you think we can change that?
Okay, firstly, I think it's a topic that we didn't grow up in. It's not a topic that we are used to having to engage with the adults or anyone who's around us, rather. Number 1. Number 2, it's all about the codes. A black person is not supposed to be depressed. A black person, mental health, black person, white person, black person, white. It's all about that. Number 3, it's also about the fact that it's not about the race, but people don't understand that. And I think also in Zimbabwe, I've noticed if you say mental health, they actually think this is the very first sign they relate to when it's mental health. So it's not about being crazy. It's not about being white or black or pink or yellow. It doesn't matter about race, color, or whatever. But mental health basically is all about being well here in the mind as a human being. That's basically it. And I think for us to improve this, we need to start talking about it. We need to make sure that everyone understands that mental health is it's not all about being crazy. There's more to being crazy. There's more to being stressed. There's more to being low or high. And understanding your emotions, or understanding you're not okay to actually talk to someone or go out or vent out. You'd find typical African mothers are always yelling at you. And in most cases, they're not okay up here. Mentally, they're not okay. They're not okay emotionally. And that's what we need to start talking about. Start normalizing talking about your feelings. How are you feeling today? Let's ask each other about our days. There's more to asking you, how was your day? That question we always ask it, but there's more to it. So I feel like for us to actually get to where mental health is and where we're supposed to go, we need to start talking about these issues and understanding what exactly it is.
That's very true. This comes up a lot in conversations, in the issue of mental health. And just to go back when you mentioned about challenges that women and girls are facing, and you did speak a lot about sexual reproductive health services and how it's accessible or affordable. Is it or is it not? Do you think there's enough being done to educate these women and girls about these things? Are we doing enough, or what can be done to educate?
Enough? I'm not sure, because you'd find that a lot of new things come up when you actually think you're getting there. For example, before COVID, we actually thought, oh hey, we're almost there. People are getting to understand the issues that we're talking about. But then COVID came, and then it's a whole new thing with a whole new challenges in the same topics that we're talking about today. So it's never enough. But all we need to do is being innovative in everything that we do and leave room for change and leave room for unforeseen circumstances. Like COVID, for example, it taught us a lot that we didn't really plan for Zoom meetings. We didn't plan for, what about those other young girls and young people that are in the remotest areas that don't have phones? Everyone has access to internet, but do they have the gadget? We didn't plan for all that. And when COVID came, these are the issues I'm thinking, oh. So I think moving forward, we need to be innovative, also leaving room for change in unforeseen circumstances.
It's honestly like you're such an inspiration to so many girls out there, I'm sure. And right now, even talking, I'm sure you're inspiring everyone watching. So I want to ask you, is there someone you specifically look up to or has inspired you in the past, and why?
I look up to so many people. I think it's because I've understood the concept of mentorship. But my first role model ever since I was a child was my dad. He's the kind of person who's very patient, very tolerant, and he's very open-minded. And he's all that. He's that human being that you don't see every day. And he's got characteristics that in a human being, when you want to work, especially in this field that I've chosen, if you want to work with a lot of people, you have to be tolerant, you have to be very patient, you have to be very accommodating. He's got these characteristics that a normal human being you meet every day doesn't have. And he was my first role model. And my mom, because she's tough, she's the Margaret Thatcher type, we used to call her. And I've met a lot of other women along the way, the likes of Imelda Vidiri, the likes of Beatrice Savage. A lot of women that I've met who actually have different stories to tell and who've got different challenges and they've overcome in different ways. And you'd find bringing all that together just builds me every day. So I think because of the concept of mentorship, I've got a lot of people now that I look up to.
That is truly inspiring. Ladies at home, I hope you're taking notes. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back just now.
Welcome back. We're still here talking with Siatra. Siatra, thank you so much for joining us today. You've really educated us and taught us so much about some really important topics. And I'm sure everyone at home watching as well has learned so much today. So thank you so much for imparting so much important wisdom with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Siatra, for joining us today. I'm sure most of the, especially the young ladies, the young women and girls out there were inspired. I do hope some of them are watching and getting to learn a lot of stuff and, you know, learning what's available to them to help them throughout these challenges. It's truly, I'm truly inspired. Even in your travels, you know, I'm sure you have also inspired many people out there. And by the way, congratulations. I understand you recently got married. Again, inspiring to the young ladies out there to try and do things right, which is really great. Is there any other advice that you would like to give women and girls out there?
Okay, so I think advice goes to the person who really needs it. And it takes a person who wants the empowerment to be empowered. And for me, it's all about trying to get more and find a purpose and a meaning for my life. And I feel if you really need that, if you're right there, you also need to start learning what your purpose is on earth. What do you need to leave on this earth? What are we going to remember you for when you leave earth? And all that. Be you. Be yourself. It's amazing when you're yourself. It's amazing when you embrace yourself. But also in embracing yourself, don't forget that you live in a world where there are others. And that you also need to embrace the challenges, the positives that come with it. I think that's my takeaway for you, if you need it. At the end of the day, the ball is in your court. You take it or leave it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For all the viewers at home, enough has been said. Those who have ears to hear have heard. This is all from us today, from Women Today. Remember to look up on our Facebook page, Women Today Talkshow, and you can also call the number on our screen if you have any information or you want to share your story. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.